People who have almost been killed, what were your last thoughts before almost dying? I was in a car accident when I was 18. As I lost control, the car was drifting from one side to the other for what felt like eternity and was ultimately to be stopped by a ditch and a big tree. The whole thing probably only lasted a few seconds before the car flipped over and I lost consciousness for a moment, but I remember thinking, oh God, this is actually happening, and as I processed what was going to happen next, this is gonna hurt. In the end, I only had whiplash and some bruises while my car was totaled, but I was absolutely convinced that this was going to be the end. After the adrenaline wore off, I broke down crying and felt incredibly relieved that I had decided to not take my dog with me. Something had stopped me from bringing her that day, and I'm still so thankful for that.
Something my daughter told me terrifies him. This past year, my family went on a sabbatical in Anna-Thirkantry. My daughter 4 talks a lot about returning to our old house, and something she said recently gave me chills. Daughter, when we go back, can I sleep in mommy's room? Me, oh, backbone, yes. Sometimes we can have sleepovers, but don't you remember, you have a huge bed to sleep in your room. All your toys are in there. Your stuffed animals, daughter. But that guy, remember? I wake up at night because he's there with me mentally freaking out. What? No, I don't remember. What man? Daughter, he sits in the corner. He's all black. He just sits by me. What? What does his face look like? Daughter, he has no eyes, but I think he has a mouth. Me in shock. Well, you can definitely sleep in my room. What the heck is that? Also, how is she so nonchalant about some terrifying thing in her room like this? Your daughter is not a racist. She is seeing a shadow person, and shadow people are not nice. Get her some help, find a medium. Get some help now. Get yourself a priest in that joint. I would say this stuff to my parents as a small child, but it was never true. I just wanted to be interesting enough for them to give me attention.
I physically harmed my nephews and I deeply regret it. This isn't one isolated incident. This was several. I'm younger than my sister by 14 years. She had her first son when I was 5 years old and her second son when I was 7. She lived with me and my parents for the majority of my childhood, and so did my nephews. My parents were very neglectful and so was my sister. Taking care of my nephews was my job almost immediately. When I was 12, I was forced to share a Jack and Jill style bathroom with them. They'd stay up all night screaming, yelling and jumping around. They would sneak into my room and steal my things, and my parents didn't do anything about it. It got to the point that was sleep deprived, juggling school, kids and my parents' expectations. If they'd get too loud and wake me up, I'd threaten them. Eventually it led to hitting. At some point I realized what I was becoming and what I was doing, and I tried to distance myself from them as much as I could. I know I hurt them and I did irreversible damage. I will never forgive myself for that. I don't expect them to ever forgive me either. It happened again when I was 18. I had a full-time job and my sister moved back in with us. I was trying to get my own apartment, but all my money and time outside of work was spent taking care of kids that weren't mine. I was expected to take care of them full-time as well as take care of the house while my sister sat back and relaxed. I snapped. I hit them when they talked back to me more than once. I know their mother did it too. I took the first chance I had to move away and have stayed away since. I've personally given them so much trauma when they needed me the most. I don't ever plan on having kids of my own. I can't trust myself to not repeat my mistakes. I'm a monster. I hate that version of myself and I will regret harming them till the day I die. I love them so much and I hurt them so badly. I'm 32 now. The only person I've told about this is my husband. Has tried to console me, but I know I don't deserve it. I feel guilty for even letting him try to comfort me. Update. It's been an emotional roller coaster, but for those interested, I reached out to them via email. After consulting my therapist, they accepted my apologies and things are good. We've been playing video games together in our spare time the past couple of days and I'm really enjoying the time I've spent with them. They have already gotten therapists and are refusing to let me pay for anything. I've set aside a portion of my savings for them, so if they're ever in a bind, I can help them financially. I will be helping the oldest welcome their little girl into the world in August and I couldn't be more excited. I still don't plan on having children of my own, but I'm looking into going to school to become an elementary teacher. My dream job. Thank you so much for all the kind words. I truly never expected so many people to be so kind to me. It means the world and it's definitely changed my life for the better.
And in the basement. When I was about 16, I was babysitting for a family friend. He took the girl right outside to play on the swing set in the backyard, and it was getting pretty dark. Around 8 or 8:30, I started getting a weird feeling, like we were being watched. I looked around and didn't see anyone, but I was still freaked out, so I took her inside since she had to go tobe soon anyway. I put her to sleep at around 9 and start watching TV in the living room. About 10 minutes later, hear rustling outside of the house. I stupidly go to check it out, and I don't see anything, so I just assume it was an animal and go back inside. About 20 minutes later, hear footsteps from Maddie's room, so I go upstairs to put her back to bed. I open her door and see that she is still fast asleep in her bed. It's dark in the room, but I can see some stuff because of the light from the window. I look in the corner to see Theshadawi's silhouette kneeling in the corner. I immediately turn on the light to see an actual man there. He tries to run out the door, but I kick him in the nuts. I call the police, and it turns out the man had been living in the basement for about 6 months, going in and out through a hole in the side of the house, and he had been watching family while they were outside and while they were sleeping. I haven't babysat since. This is why I always have a dog.
My BF is now my GF and is obsessed with being trans. I am just a run-of-the-mill black manic pixie dream girl. I'm pansexual, 21 years old and silly, very nice and snarky. Usually accepting. My partner 35 has came out to me as a trans woman. We've dated for a year now and are in love. I'm experiencing the ick right now. It's happened a little after a month of her coming out to me, and at first I dealt with it healthily. I cried, reached out for support to cope with everything going on, and don't get me wrong, I love her. I use her new name as much as possible, call her she/her, but I can't stop feeling disturbed when she talks about her past self as a man, saying that he was disgusting, ugly, and keeps using her drunkenness as an excuse or her childhood. It was bad, but not that bad. Some have it much worse. There are kids getting beat on, raped and murdered by their parents. None of that happened to her. Every time she talks about him, who she used to be, I just run silent so I don't say anything to upset her. She keeps talking about I can't wait to chop it off, I can't wait to start HRT, I'm so excited, and I get it. I know she's excited, but now it's non-stop, it's all she can talk about. She even tells me how I should act as a cisgender woman, what ladies should do. How can you tell me how I should be when you were the one who grew up male? She is purely obsessed with being trans, and sometimes, okay, most times I just want to talk about normal things like movies to watch on Netflix, where to go on a picnic, or how our week was, but lately it's trans, and I'm just waiting for it to wear off. I feel awkward about her sudden transition because she's not good at committing to anything. She's phased through so many things. I tell her to walk before she can run. Within 2 weeks of coming out to me, I was the first person she'd came out to. She told her whole family and friends, and I just thought that was a little fast. She needs to be patient, and I can't help but get the feeling she's running into this because she's scared she'll back out one day. Another thing that bothers me is she keeps saying thanks for not leaving me and calling me a freak like someone else probably would, and it makes me feel trapped, like I'm this big anchor. She relies on me a lot to help her be a woman, but I'm not a walking handbook for becoming a woman. I'm just a human being, and she treats me like a guidebook. She makes stupid and offensive jokes like, "Can I borrow your tits?" And it makes me so uncomfortable. I tried to be fair and say, well, I'm black, they don't match yours, and she says I'll bleach them. Just please let me have your tits. I can't wait for mine to come in and for my penis to shrink. I hate it and I want it gone. Snip snip. And I cringe when I think of her mutilating herself or keep bringing it up every 5 seconds. I can't wait for it to be gone. Like, yeah, I get it. You want a vagina? That's great, I support that. Just shut up for a minute and talk about something that isn't trans. And now when we're intimate, the only thing that gets her off is having a vagina herself. She's too envious of mine and uses me as a doll or picture book for what she imagines her future anatomy to be life.